V1. Rotate.
Alright, we're just about crossed the English Channel on our way over Belgium. In the meantime, it has smoothed out significantly. It's still a little bit bumpy, but I think we can deal with it, so the passenger's seatbelt signs can come off. We're over the water now. Coming up to our top of climb, 350 would be the flight level. I'm going to have a check of the weather in Frankfurt and start planning for our approach and arrival. Since it's a short flight, just about an hour and 10 minutes, we'll get that set up. The weather's not bound to change too much before we get there, so we'll get everything set up as always nice and early. We'll check the weather and the charts for the arrival. So I've been monitoring the weather for a little while, and the winds are varying. They're about 7 knots, but they're coming from the general north-northeast direction. At Frankfurt, the temperature is 4, the dew point is 4, so it's quite, well, it's foggy. 2.5 statute miles of visibility, so visibility is not doing too great. Looks like we're definitely going to need the ILS for this one. Pressure is 1015 hectopascals. That being said, let's look over at the charts. If you're wondering where I get my charts, Google is your friend. I just type in the identifier, the ICAO identifier for the arrival airport, and then charts, and usually something comes up. Here we have a wonderful VATSIM Germany site for all of our chart needs. Looks like we have a runway 3, runway 21, so with the winds out of the northeast, we'll be on runway 3. There is a little note here that there is a preferential runway system in Frankfurt. It states that runway 21 is preferred for landings with a tailwind component of up to 5 knots. We don't really qualify for that, plus the wind's aloft. I'm going to go in on runway 3. Although, if visibility does get very bad and we choose to switch runways, instead of, or before we divert rather, we can always shoot for runway 21, which has a full Cat 3A approach. So we'll use the Cat 2 on runway 3, hopefully we'll get in before, or we'll be able to make visual contact with the runway before minimums. If not, we can always circle around, try for runway 21. The winds aren't too strong in either direction, so that can make it good for us to use either runway. So we'll have a quick look at the overview. Simple airfield. We have one runway. We are planning to come in from runway 03, so in a viscerally direction, and then we'll vacate on one of the taxiways and taxi to apron 3. I'm not too fussed about the parking position at this point. We can figure that when we get on the ground. We have our transition chart here. So our final waypoint is Ropov at or above 6,000. And then we will be coming over here towards the Hahn NDB, and then back around for runway 3, like so. It's an RNAV transition, so shouldn't be too complicated to set up. We'll just plug it into the FMC, and basically all of these waypoints will be populated along with the altitudes. So our final altitude looks like it's 5,000 here, and the transition in Frankfurt is 5,000 as well. Looking over here at our ILS chart, we have the ILS identifier, which is India Hotel Alpha Echo on 109.3. The inbound course is 032, and our Category C minimums for a Cat 1 approach are 168 radio or 1817 barometric. Back in the flight deck, we can get some of that set up, so we'll select ILS runway 03, the Roku 2 Kilo arrival. FH415 is the RNAV transition. Go ahead and look at that in the plan page to see what it looks like so. So if we step through here, we have Bukal, Remba, speed, then rope move, and then if we zoom in a little bit, here's our downwind leg, and then our transition to final. We've got our final altitude here of 5,000, and then the runway, and then our overshoot, which is back to the Hanover NDB, I suppose, back up at 5. So that is set. We can set our QNH on the standby, which is 1015 now. So we'll go ahead and dial that back to 1015, like so. going to go ahead and put in some descent winds. So we'll go ahead and forecast. We know our transition altitude in the is 5,000. Our QNH is 1015. And as for the descent winds, what I usually do is I just use active sky and check the winds aloft over the field. It's not terribly accurate, but I'll plug in just a couple here, just to give the FMC and the computer a little bit more of a better idea of what to expect on the descent. 226 at 56, like so. 240 is pretty much the same. We'll use 180, like so. And at 180, it's 218 at 30, 218 at 30, like so. And the last one we'll use is 900. So like so. And it is 269 at 3. Like so. Execute that. So now that the flight computer has a little bit better of an idea of what to expect on the descent, we should have a relatively accurate top of descent. And for some reason, well, I guess I'm tuned to the BUN Bravo Uniform November MDB, which is, or VOR rather. It's great. We can go ahead and set up our courses. So the course, the inbound course was, I said that earlier, it was 032. I'll check the charts in a second. I'll bring you back once all that's set up. I was indeed correct. 032 is our inbound course. We can go ahead and set up the frequency, which is 1093. We'll do that on both sides. 1093, like so. So this being a Cat 2 approach, it will be more precise than a Cat 1, for example, but not a full auto land, so we will have to take manual control of the aircraft. Our minimums, as I spend the next couple of minutes scrolling through the barometric minimums here, was Category C, Cat 1, 1817. So I'm going to spend the next 25 minutes or so scrolling up so that this is so that our minimums are set, and I will bring you back in a little bit. That was a lot of scrolling, but I got it set. Our barometric minimums, 1817 on both sides. The last thing I thought we could do is talk about the heads-up display, which this aircraft is equipped with. So this is our HGS, or heads-up guidance system, panel. And all we have to do, it's already, since we set the nav frequencies to the ILS frequency, it's already pre-selected IMC A3, so Cat 3 approach, which it is not, but that's okay with me. So all we have to do is enter the elevation of the aerodrome, which is 1649, like so, and then enter. And I believe the length, which was 9,990 feet. We enter that, and we should get heads-up guidance on the way in from the heads-up display, like so. Maybe we'll use it, maybe we won't. I can't usually get my view. Well, maybe. We'll see. So we have reached our top of descent, and we are beginning our descent now to 5,000. Go ahead and whack the seatbelt signs on, like so. Everything else can stay where it is for now. I wanted to talk a little bit about the future episodes. Right now we're Class E Captain, which is why we're flying on the left-hand side of the aircraft. In the future, we will get into the Airbuses, as I've mentioned previously. Only 5 more hours, really, until we rank up to Class D First Officer, and at that point, we start getting into the 737-800, the mainline routes, as well as the Airbus 320. That'll open up a little bit more in terms of route selection for us. We can expand our destinations and do some more fun approaches, and maybe participate a little bit more in events. I've talked about events before. Today being a Tuesday, it's Crossing Tuesday in Europe. So Zurich, I believe it's Zurich, or I think it's Zurich. Anyways, there are a couple of fully staffed airfields all over Europe, and I really wanted to get into that, but I want to wait until we can fly the appropriate aircraft and the appropriate routes, which is why we're still building up the hours in the interim. And as for the format, now, I don't want to spend too much time in terms of setting up the aircraft every time, and then shutting it down at the end. We'll still do all of the procedures, and we're still flying this, you know, as real world as we can. But in the future, once we've established our proficiency in an aircraft, such as the Airbus, so the first time we do the Airbus flight, we'll do it nice and slow. We'll take care of all of the checklists, set it up correctly. We'll walk through the procedures and stuff like that. And in the future, we'll start cutting back that a little bit, just to streamline the videos. I really want to get, you know, the heart of the flight, the departure, the planning part, that'll all stay in, the arrival. But we'll try to cut it down just a little bit and streamline the whole process a little bit once we're familiar with each new aircraft type. So the first video in every new type of aircraft that we operate will be a little bit longer. The 737 one, a little bit of an exception there because I've done a video. My first video was the Leeds Bradford to London Gatwick, so we saw a little bit more of the setup process in terms of that aircraft. But we will be getting back to that with the Airbus, and then we'll slowly start to cut it back just a little bit, in the sake of keeping, you know, the videos a little bit more short and interesting. If they're long-haul flights, well, I'll cut out most of the cruise, obviously, as I've done with this one. Even though it's a short-haul flight, I'm not going to keep you in the flight deck for the full hour and 10 minutes. That would be a little bit boring and doesn't make for great video footage. What else? That's about it for the rest of the channel. I appreciate... Alright, we've got traffic now. Interesting. Where is he? Well, it was just an advisory, but still, that was definitely interesting. Okay, so he's off to the left of us somewhere. Maybe we can spot him. We saw those 2 other aircraft in the cruise earlier. Nope. Can't make him out. That's okay. I will pay a little bit closer attention to the Unicom frequency. This is why I like flying the events, because you have positive control, and you know that there's less of a chance of conflicts. Doesn't look like anything on the messages for Unicom. I think we're okay. A little bit of lag there. So that is my plan for the future episodes. Maybe here and there we'll throw in a couple of extra videos that are going to be outside of the main scope of Class E to ATP. We'll get some fun little breaks from that. But I really like this series. I like doing the series, and I'm enjoying building my hours and starting fresh, which is what we're doing now. What else? I'm blown away by the support, actually, of the community. I mean, I always knew we had a great community in the flight simming world, but really the support has been fantastic. And I just started this channel just because I wanted to make my own contribution to the flight sim world. There's a lot of great content out there, and I follow a lot of it. But you know, I thought I'd add to that. Essentially, there's nothing wrong with the existing community or the existing content out there. I just thought, you know, more is better, right? So that's my thought process to this whole thing. If you enjoy it, that's great. I'm glad you do. So thank you for subscribing. I just do this for fun. I enjoy recording it, and I enjoy the feedback and answering questions if you have any. Again, I'm not a real pilot in no way, shape, or form. I do work in the aviation industry, so a lot of my knowledge stems from that. But you know, if you do have any questions or would like me to cover different things in the future, tell me what you'd like to see, you know, and we'll get that going. I know I've had requests for some Scandinavia stuff. I've looked into it, not so much feasible with the aircraft and the routes we have available now, but definitely in the future we'll get up to the Nordic countries, and especially in the winter that's going to be fun because you know, icing conditions, windy, contaminated runways. That'll all definitely be fun to handle. So yeah, once again, thanks for the support, and let's continue our descent here and keep our focus on the task at hand. So we are descending through flight level 230, a little bit high, about 550-ish feet high. We'll bring out a little bit of speed brake, help that descent going, and keep the speed in check. Aircraft is doing a great job so far on its own. Sunset should be in before dark in Frankfurt. Just in time to go to the pub and grab a beer. We're not flying out today, so we can go ahead and you know, hit up a pub or two. So here comes that turn to final. Zoom in on the ND a little bit. Speed's looking good. Altitude, we're a little bit high. I'm going to go ahead and help that out with a little bit of flap. Okay, let's start with flap 1. Shiny switches are forward. Landing light, the seatbelt sign is on. Pressurization looked okay earlier. Having a quick check at the weather. It's now changed from fog to light rain. Visibility is still 2.5 statute miles. QNH 1015. Wind is 010 knots. Been in the air for 54 minutes so far. Looks like we'll be a little bit ahead of schedule thanks to that tailwind en route. And here comes the turn to final. Speed's coming down. There is the glide slope diamond. Our localizer diamond is alive, so I will go ahead and arm VOR loc. Keep that descent coming. I'm going to put it into vertical speed mode and bring it down just a little faster, maybe 900 feet or so, just to get underneath that, the localizer, sorry, the glide slope. Bring out flaps 5 as we do that. So localizer is captured. Got a little bit of rain here. Down to 1100. And we will take flap 5 speed, about 157 knots. Leave the gear in. We're still more than, what was that word I said? 12, 15? It's the range right, I can't really see it. 11. So we're well past 11 nautical miles to go. So the speed's coming down nicely. I'm going to bring in the speed brake. Leave it on flaps 5 for now. Bring out the descent a little bit more. Try 1300. And we basically, this line here is our where our descent will end. So we've set 5,000. That's also our go-around altitude, coincidentally. So we want the green bar where the aircraft predicts it will level off to basically intercept our altitude restriction of 5,000 there, and that should bring us back onto the glide. Speed's looking solid at 170 knots. Visibility is definitely going to be an issue, so we're going to have to make sure we see the runway before our minimum call out. I'm going to go ahead and put out all the landing lights, turn off turn off lights. There's 1,000 to go. I will arm the, move the engine start switches to continuous. There's the glide slope. Go ahead, select approach. Hopefully that captures. There we go. And arm the second autopilot. See if we can get anything on the old heads-up display. Nothing yet. Auto A3 is armed. We'll bug it down to our VREF speed, which is 134. Continue decelerating. I will bring out the gear, add a whack a drag to the aircraft. That should help bring our speed back. I'll wait for 3 green. There we go. Flaps 15.
2,500.
So we've got even more traffic here, coming up at our 1 o'clock, 800 feet below us. We are now fully established on the ILS, still single channel, Cat 1 for now. Can't see a damn thing outside. Oh, there we go. Ground is in sight, so that's good. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the wipers. Speed's getting away a little bit. Definitely choppy at this approach. Still can't see anything. Leave it in automatic. Yeah, the autopilot's having a little bit of a fit because the speed's getting away from us. I will take manual control in just a second. Actually, I'll already take manual control of the throttle. Start bringing that speed back for us. We have Cat 2 captured. There's the outer marker. A bit of lag. Speed's coming down. Still can't see anything. Profile's looking good though. Go ahead and arm the speed brake. See landing checklist, flaps 30 selected and indicating. Auto throttle is off. The speed brake is armed. Shiny switches forward. Landing checklist complete. There's the runway. Leave it in just a little bit longer because I can. There's the approach lights. Wow, this is certainly something. Autopilot's coming out. My aircraft. Ooh, the wind is gusty.
300.
Pretty stable here. Stable as we can be.
Approaching decision height. 200.
A bit low.
Decision height.
Continue. Everything's smoothing out now. So we can see.
50. 30.
And float it. A little bit of left rudder. There we go. We're down. Reverse green. Decel. That was an interesting one. So, flight directors can come off, like so. We can start the old APU, turn on the taxi light, get rid of the fixed, or the retractable landing lights, turn the engine ignition switches back to off. We'll vacate here over to the right, park up, shut her down, get rid of the auto brake. Und willkommen nach Frankreich. I'm sure I butchered that. Okay. There we go. Foxtrot all the way over to the terminal. Select a stand. Clean up the aircraft. So the parking brake is set. We can get rid of the wipers. They're just annoying. Go ahead and transfer the buses over to the APU. Turn off the engine bleeds. Turn on the APU bleed. And shut down the engines. Spooling down. We will get rid of the anti-call light. We can release the passengers. Not the best weather on that approach. Definitely fun. Definitely an interesting experience. An hour and 4 minutes in the air. An hour 24 gate to gate. Although this isn't a gate. Low-cost airline. Low-cost services and low-cost experience. I hope you all enjoyed your movie back there, which again was Final Destination. On the way back we will be playing Final Destination 2. Yeah, that's about it for the flight deck. We can go ahead and get rid of the hydraulics. We can turn the windows heats off. We can turn the probe heats off. We can turn the yaw damper off. We can get rid of the IRSs like so. Fuel pumps. We'll leave only the aft right one on for the APU. And we'll get everybody off this aircraft. Also, ich danke Ihnen für den Beitritt, mich. And I'm sorry that my German isn't much better than my Spanish. I'm off to grab a pint of Germany's world-famous beer before my layover in a low-cost hotel with this stolen bag of elephant-grade peanuts I got from the galley. Hopefully I can deadhead back to the UK on a mainline flight for our next adventure with Fly UK. Until then, I wish you all blue skies, tailwinds, and I'll see you in the next episode.